So is Mr. Beast from North Carolina? Or
He
where's he
is. Yeah,
from? Oh,
born
is he
and
really?
raised right here in Greenville, North Carolina. I don't know if he's born, but raised right here in North Carolina, Greenville.
So
That's why he's in Greenville. That's where he lived. That's just where he
that's
started.
crazy. I don't know if I told you this before, but me and my wife are moving out to North Carolina or South Carolina in the next couple months.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, so we're just kind of going to go check it out. But we're actually thinking about Greenville, South Carolina.
Greenville,
Uh,
South Carolina is really nice.
Is that kind of like, yeah, look, I mean, everybody, we've talked to like 7 or 8 people, and everybody's, we're like, we're going to move to the Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina area. And so many people say we got to go check out Greenville, South
Yeah,
Carolina.
Greenville's, I think, a good investment. I think it's just going to keep growing. You're also just down the road from Asheville, which is the Blue Ridge. Forget Asheville, but like the Blue Ridge Mountains, right?
Oh, yeah.
The driving just up in the mountains. Asheville's just a big city up there, but there's just so much amazing hiking, fishing, kayaking all around that area. And then, I mean, you're not crazy far from the coast, but you got some options there.
My favorite state, I just remember always going to was North Carolina. Like I loved going in and flying in and meeting with Lowe's. It was
Mm,
so pretty. It
yeah,
was like it's so green. There's lakes everywhere.
it's something else. It's hard to explain. And like, I moved out here for Beast, obviously.
Yeah,
And then I don't work there anymore, and I'm staying. I'm not going anywhere. I just love it here.
that's really cool. I just watched recently one of those Mr. Beast videos in the cave.
Yeah,
How'd
7 days
they
in a cave.
how'd they how'd they get you to do that, man?
What's even worse is I had to go down there before the video started, just to check it out, make sure it's safe. One of my roles is just to make sure Mr. Beast doesn't die. And
Oh,
so I went down there and I came back out and they're like, "What do you think?" And I'm like, they think you guys can do it? I'm like, and I'm, the kind of the hardened survivalist. And I'm like, guys, I don't know if I can do it. Like, but you know what's funny is the boys did really well in there. I think I struggled the most. I
really?
I have some claustrophobia I wasn't aware of, and
Wow,
it's
that's
not something
crazy.
you can reason out of your head. And it was only at night, which there's really no night, but only when you sleep. And we're in a hammock, and you got like a tarp over your face because inside the cave it rains 24/7, right? There's just the water coming from the top of the cave.
Okay.
There's just so much moisture, and so you have this like tarp over your and the water's dripping all night long. It's not comfortable in your hammock, but I wake up feeling like I couldn't breathe.
Oh,
Like this,
geez.
and it was not too bad the first couple of days, but man, by like day 8, if it was 8 days in a cave, I would have been out. I was out. I stayed awake the whole last night because I just couldn't sleep. Just wanted to get out of there so bad. It
You're
was
like, I mean,
44 degrees.
you're
Um,
like asking for hazard pay and
oh
everything.
my gosh, yeah. It was the thing is those are fun videos. Sometimes I feel like we wash over how absolutely physically demanding that video was. Of
It's
7 days
ridiculous.
in a cave, 40 degrees, 24/7. You're wet too. I tell people, get all your clothes wet and then go sit in your refrigerator. That's what we did for
Yeah,
seven
for
days.
eight
For
days.
8 days. Yeah, seven
That is
days. Yeah, it's
insane.
brutal.
Dude,
And
that is insane.
and then of course we get out and immediately leave, get on an airplane and go to Australia for the Feastables launch. So it's just like, yeah, just back to back. So
I can't believe you did that. That reminds me of like Boy Scouts. Like I remember I did the whole like Eagle Scout thing, and I remember like camping out. Did you ever do the scouting thing? Because you're a big outdoorsy guy.
well, I grew up that way. So it wasn't really scouts. I
How's your
grew up on
life?
land. Yeah, exactly. I just grew up on
You're like
land.
the real version of me. They're like forcing me to go to like my neighbor's house, and we did this Klondike thing, and I just get this call from this guy, and he's like, "Hey, Jeremy, we're sleeping in my backyard, but the bad news is there's 2 feet of snow."
Oh
I'm like,
geez.
"What are we doing? Like, what is the purpose of this?" But
Yeah,
yeah, dude,
it's
you
tougher.
live that life. Like that's you.
Yeah, no, it was I just grew up on land, deer hunting, fishing. We had a pond in the front yard. So it was just kind of like luckily I grew up kind of before video games were such an all-consuming entertainment form. So I spent a lot of time just outside uh on the land, just enjoying nature. So and that's what I always joked is you need at least one redneck on your film crew because you kind of learn how to fix everything and you know a little bit about everything. And so we go do
Yeah,
these
man.
videos and something inevitably would happen. I'm like, I could fix that, you know.
Something tells me that you would have been a, a duck hunt fan and a Contra fan
Contra
growing up.
was up, down, left, right, A, B,
That's right.
start, right?
Yeah, that's right.
The
Using the
code, the code.
spread. Once you picked up the spread, it was over. It's
Oh
like
yeah,
there's no
it's
losing
easy
now.
mode. We're dating ourselves.
I know. Holy cow! My kids look at this and they're just like, "How? Like what? century were you born in?
Yeah.
Like he's like I don't know, dude. It's pretty nuts. You know, one thing I wanted to ask you, what was it like to have like Mr. Beast Jimmy be like, hey, can you join us internally? What was that all about? Tell us of the experience.
Well, I mean, we did the 100 days in a circle, and so I was working with them nonstop for 100 days straight. And we just got along, and I had a bit of a production background, working with World Series of Poker and
Yep.
working with other television productions. So I knew the business, right? I wasn't necessarily in front of the camera guy. And so he just recognized that I had, I had a skill set he was looking for. He's looking for someone who kind of knew a little bit about everything, was kind of the what he would say. And just my upbringing and my time in the film business and my ADHD exposed me to a lot of stuff over my 47 years. And I said, well, what will I do for you? And he's like, I don't know. We'll figure it out. And so for most of my time there, I really just was on whatever project at the moment that was needed. But yeah, we worked together and enjoyed working together. And it was more of a, we'll figure something out. You got to come work for me after this is over.
You got a fascinating background. Tell us about like that World Series of Poker. You did that, and then before that, did you do a bunch with Red Bull?
Red Bull, esports in general. So it goes way back to 99. I did my first feature film. And then you kind of go in and out of the film industry. Well, some people do. You kind of go in and out of the film industry because it's like, well, I got to go make money, and there's no
Yeah.
money right now. So I worked full time in sales. I doing like technical sales. Also, kind of came back and forth um, into the film industry. I just get different projects, and then at one point I got pulled in on a StarCraft 2 tournament stream out in Rancho Cucamonga, and they were looking for somebody with some traditional production experience. And so I joined them, and that's kind of rest was history. We went from there to World of Tanks. We did Red Bull Battlegrounds, which was a StarCraft 2 esports tournament. I built ESL Studios in Burbank, which is for one of the first major studios there. Helped Riot built a lot of stuff with League of Legends. I mean, we just did a ton of events. We actually founded a white label esports production company that would go on to sell, and so it was really successful in the esports side of things. But I wanted to get out of LA, and so I took a job with World Series of Poker, running their basically pay gated, like it's like the Netflix for poker called Poker Go.
Oh, yeah.
And so we just produced a ton of poker content, and we built a studio. And yeah, that production experience led to them, MrBeast team headhunting one of my guys.
Oh, dude, that's insane.
Yeah, and so I didn't think nothing about it. And so when they start looking for this person, they're looking for subscribers, right? You got to be a subscriber. You got to know the content. And so when they start asking, he knows I got kids. He knows I watch the videos. They're looking for kind of a survivalist. They're looking for, and
A perfect fit.
yeah, so I get a random call from MrBeast of like, hey, I got a project for you. I want you to come out. I can't tell you anything about it. You know? And so that's how all that led to this chance connection to get put into the pool of guys they're going to pick to put in this circle for 100 days.
Dude, that is insane. I'll give you my story. I used to live in Rancho Cucamonga.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, I
I
was in a
know that
lemon.
area well.
Yeah, dude. I lived in a little. Was this before? Was this? So when I grew up, when I was there, I was in like lemon orchards. Like we're just all over the place.
Yep.
And I lived in one with this tiny little shack. And I remember coming home one day, and there was some guy that was in the middle of robbing me.
Oh my gosh.
And he like jumps out and he starts running around the back, and somebody's kind of waiting for him in a car, and then they peel out. I'm like, oh, I wonder what they took. So I
Right.
went inside, and they realized there's nothing there. Jokes on you, dude. I don't know
Exactly.
anything about you. That was pretty good, but that's insane. So did you get pretty good at poker just by watching?
Yeah, I'm fairly decent. I've got a Rolex sitting up on my shelf here uh, that is I won in a poker game last
Are you
year.
serious?
So yeah, we have a little get together every year, a bunch of business guys, and we play for because you got 7-figure guys and you got 8 and 9-figure guys.
Yeah.
Well, a 7-figure guy can't play poker with the 8 or 9-figure guy. It just doesn't swing the same. They can
Yeah.
bully you out of everything. So we just picked
Oh
a
yeah.
prize. There's about 16 of us, and we just picked a prize. And what was funny is I was kind of hosting this part of the event, and I told the guys, I'm like, look, I'm not going to play. They're like, Shawn, you got to play. You have to play. I was like, no, no, no. I worked for World Series of Poker for 5 years. And they're like, oh, so you're better than us. Of course,
Oh, they
in a
baited
room of high
set,
achievers,
they baited you in.
yeah, I didn't realize I was sharking them. And so I was like, I do a lot of tournament play. And of course, they wouldn't hear the end of it. They're like, "Yeah, you're not sitting this out. You're playing." And I absolutely crushed
Crushed it.
and won the Rolex. So it was funny.
Well, hey, if you ever want it,
This last year though, I made it to the final four, and I did not quite add. I had two wrists, but unfortunately, I only have one Rolex. I didn't quite make the
almost get
top.
back to back.
But I had a good run. I
Yeah.
had a good run this year.
You want some quick money? Just play me in poker. That
Yeah,
is,
we'll
it
get
is a total disaster.
we'll get a good game set up at some point. I'm always down
That's
for
right,
some quick
dude.
money.
It was kind of fun, like chatting with you and kind of learn a little bit more about what you do. So now you're telling me just briefly that what were you at, like some USC event and you're hanging out in
Yeah.
Billionaires Row or something, or
So
what happened there?
we were going to USC 299. It was a last minute event that we got invited to, and so we're kind of flying down there, trying to get him in and out of venues is
Oh, that's impossible.
it's very tough. And so we're coming through. We see some famous people downstairs. People are taking pictures of each other. I'm talking to the lady kind of running the whole thing down there, and I tell her, I was like, I'm just gonna walk him to the door, and then I'll just pull back because it's him and Logan Paul. They're out there on
Yeah.
Billionaires Row. And I was like, I'll just hang back. She recognizes me from my 100 Days in a Circle video
Yeah.
and ends up just getting me a spot out there. So I shouldn't even have been out there. So I'm sitting like, it was, if you watch that UFC 299, you'll see Logan Paul, MrBeast, and some random bearded dude. And so I just
You're the
randomly,
random guy.
it was the best seats I'll ever have for a UFC fight for sure.
Oh yeah,
And I'm
dude.
sitting the same row, Donald Trump's right across the way. It was incredible.
That is
And,
so
but I turn around and right behind me is Liver King. And so, yeah, I turn around and just like, hey, I love your content. I like the idea, this messaging of, work out, eat meat, get some sunlight, rest, protect,
yeah.
spend time with family. It's like all these 9 ancestral tenets. It's like, it's
Oh
all
yeah.
free, right? 9 ancestral
Oh yeah.
tenets are free. 99% of your health can be done for free, and I just really like, I mean, of course, people sell supplements, all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, you don't need money to
Yeah.
do healthy things, right? And I like that
Right.
messaging. And we got to talking, and we exchanged phone numbers. I said, I want to do a barbarian challenge. And he's like, come to my ranch anytime. I'll put you into the barbarian challenge. And
Dude.
so a couple months later, I flew out there. I did the barbarian challenge. I finished it, it's a brutal challenge. It's 70-pound kettlebell in each hand, 120 pounds on a sled, 70 pounds on your back, 20-pound ankle weights, and you got to drag it a mile. Took me 3 hours. One of the
All of
hardest things
that
I've ever
stuff?
done. All that stuff. You got like 300 pounds on your body.
Oh,
Took me 3 hours to do it. It was
oh.
brutal. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life.
Yeah, it's just
And
like pulling Shaquille O'Neal behind you.
what's that?
Like pulling Shaquille O'Neal
Oh
behind you.
yeah, yeah. You're just dragging down this gravel road, and it's a mental. I mean, it's a strength thing, but it's really a mental. No one can do it easy, right? Like it's really your mind is what quits first. And so we did that, and we just really got along. And he's like, "You need to come work for me." I'm like, "I work for MrBeast. I'm good. We're doing all these survival videos. I'm really loving what I'm doing. I'm not interested. Thank you so much." And
Yeah.
we kind of keep staying in contact. He actually flies out here to North Carolina with his family. My family and his family did a big workout together.
Oh, cool.
So we really connected. And then Hurricane Helene hit up here in North Carolina, and Jimmy basically said, there wasn't any survival videos. They're doing beast games, and I was like, I'm gonna go up there and help. And he's like, go, like maybe see how can we help, and he never even talked about any of it, but he bought so many Starlinks. They shipped truckloads of Prime. I called Logan Paul's manager, and he's like, yeah, whole truckload of Prime came down. Jack Link sent an entire semi truck full of beef jerky. I mean, they gave me a truck from the Beast Philanthropy to use it to drive stuff up there. I mean, everybody's had my back, and I for months just did philanthropy work for up there in Western North Carolina, and really loved it. So much so that I wanted to continue doing it. And so when the survival videos, they kind of changed tone. They were more exploration, like the pyramids and the temples and things like that. So my role, not necessarily, my role is a survivalist, not talent, right? I'm not the entertainer. I'm there to be, keep them alive. And so it just made sense for me to go do my own thing because I really enjoyed what I was doing politically and philanthropically, however you say that. So,
That's a tough word, dude.
and so, Brian Leverking saw that I was doing this work and
Yeah.
saw that I had left Beast. and reached out and said, "Hey, man, I want to start a foundation, and I'd love for you to be the face of it."
That is
And I
so
was like,
cool.
"I mean, what's the foundation do?" He's like, "I don't know. I want to help people." And I'm like, "Well, what's the structure?" He's like, "I don't know. You figure it out." Well, what can we spend money on? He's like, "I don't know, as long as it's helping people." You
Straight
know?
up the whole concept of Barbarian.
Yeah, so the Barbarian Foundation is him desiring to take some of his wealth and help others. And he just loved what we were doing up in West North Carolina. And so now we have a foundation that basically the idea is helping those who help others, right? A lot of times these storms come in, come out, and what's left behind is all the volunteers, all the firefighters, military, police, regular guys. I'm a firefighter, but there's a lot of guys that aren't, that just showed up to help. As a matter of fact, I had a friend up there who lost his leg because he got an infection from the river, and he was just a guy up there volunteering.
Holy cow.
So now he's missing a leg now, and who's coming in after the storm, after it's out of the news cycle, and mentally and physically taking care of people. And everybody's got their own barbarian challenge in life, right? Now obviously Hurricane Helene dumped a lot of challenges on people, but our goal is to come through and destigmatize getting mental help, right? Destigmatize using alternative, non traditional, like stem cells, different therapies that are new and groundbreaking, natural medicine. We don't want to turn our back on that, but insurance won't pay for any of that stuff, right? So I've got a guy who's got a shoulder that's torn. Insurance is like, we'll pay for this surgery, but it's a good chance your shoulder's never going to be right again. I've got a guy in San Diego says, well, for 27,000, we could do stem cell therapy and guaranteed rejuvenate that shoulder to where it's like
That's crazy.
100%. But insurance ain't going to write a check for that. They'll write a check for cutting him up. Well, now we could take the foundation money, take these stories, tell those stories, these unknown heroes,
Oh yeah.
and then go and get them healed. But then beyond that, there's the Barbarian Challenge, right? And so the idea is we get people to sign up for a challenge. Like we'll pick a group, let's say firefighters, for example, and we're going to announce, like, nominate your local stud firefighter, the one that can carry the ladder and he's the fittest. Everybody, if you ask a station, they've always got one guy there that's
Yeah.
like the badass, right? And so they nominate those, and we'll run through a round of voting to then basically pick 10 regional firefighters. We're going to fly them into Liver King Ranch and have them compete for like a brand new fire truck for their station or something, like
That's so
something
cool.
crazy, right? So
That's so
imagine you go as the barbarian champion of your town. So there's fire departments that lost fire trucks up in Western North Carolina. So imagine he comes in, does a barbarian challenge, gets the fastest time, and wins their volunteer department a brand new fire truck. I mean, how cool is
that is
that?
insane. I
So
love that. Are
um,
you gonna make it like a channel off of that or something?
well, it'll all be under the Barbarian Foundation banner, right? We'll be putting all that content, all the medical content, all the competition content
I
will
love
be
it,
all
man.
under the Barbarian Foundation. And then another really cool side to it, so this is the tie-in to retail war games, is that we have a retail brand, a CPG brand called Barbarian Water. This isn't a Liver King company that's donating 5% of the sale to the Barbarian Foundation. This is our brand inside the foundation. So when we sell Barbarian Water, 100% of the profit comes into the nonprofit, if that makes sense.
That is
It's
so
not like
cool.
3% per can, all of it. Like every bit of money over the cost of making this goes to run the foundation. So
I love it,
I feel
man.
like it's a little different because there's a lot of CPG brands that support. Feastables is doing amazing stuff ending child labor,
Yep.
right? And that's where I just kind of came with the heart of it, was like, oh wait, a CPG brand can have a big major mission and be successful with it. And so it's the same idea, is that when you're drinking Barbarian Water, you're literally helping heal heroes, and it's
I
not a
love it.
small piece. All of the profit goes back into the foundation. So we're
Like
just we're just
honestly,
trying to,
like just
yep.
it was just like, the you're talking about after the media leaves, like the devastation's still there. And
100%. The mental
it's
devastation.
terrible. Yeah.
I felt it
I
when I came out of there. When everything slowed down, it was a double whammy because I left Beast, so like my life contracted drastically. I can't even begin to explain how busy I was when I worked there.
oh man.
At the same time, a lot of the kind of urgency, the weather had warmed up, the panic of getting people into shelter had kind of gone down, and so we kind of got into rebuild mode. And then all of a sudden, it had all this anxiety and all this stress. It just kind of, whoom, hit me. I was having heart rate issues. Like
Oh
my
man.
my heart was like missing beats because of anxiety. And I went in and I'm like, man, I should probably talk to somebody about this. Go to my doctor. They're like, you have high blood pressure. You need to take beta blockers and statins. I'm like, no, I'm literally in the best shape of my life. It was all anxiety. And now I understand how stress kills, right?
I
Because it
know.
can jack your blood pressure through the roof. And if you have your heart skip beats, it just turned out I need to talk to somebody. You go onto the websites and you start looking for mental health help, and they want you to pick a disease before you can get help. It's like, look, I don't have PTSD, right? I have maybe some PTS, post traumatic stress. That I would like to keep it from becoming a disorder.
That's
But
right.
as soon as you go to get help, though, you almost have to put yourself in a box.
Yep.
And there's a lot
Just
of,
drop down. Yep,
yeah,
exactly.
it's like there's a lot of stigma. It's all clinical. I'm like, man, I just want to talk to somebody who's been through stuff like this and I did. And guess what? What I was feeling is natural. And once I realized it was normal to feel that way after going through so much, a lot of the anxiety came out of it because I thought there's something wrong with me. Just to find out it's a natural reaction. But I don't know.
Yep.
Just a long story to say, like we want to create that iron sharpen iron, that tribe where we have other guys doing hard stuff together that can talk to one another. I always will tell people you're not alone.
Dude, I love it, man. This last Sunday, I woke up and I had like my ear was killing, and so I had an ear infection. And I went to the little doc in a box, or those things called like Instacare thing.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And, and I took my blood pressure, and I was the same way. They're like, "You have high blood pressure." I'm like, "I work out 5 times a week. I've done that for 5 years. So how
yeah.
do I have high blood pressure?" But yeah, it's all stress related.
Yep.
It's a big deal. I like the mental health wellness stuff that you're talking about for men. I don't know if are you familiar with TAF shoes?
No.
TAFT, super rad. I'll have to get you a pair. But basically, their whole thing is mental health awareness and like giving men compliments and watching out for the mental health of men, because that's been overlooked like
Oh,
no other.
it's our
You
heart.
know?
It's 100% our heart. We want to give young men purpose, and we want to give older guys appreciation, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And it's like, I mean, it's no joke. I mean, most guys will move mountains for me. You just tell them they're doing a good job,
It's
but
it's so true.
it just doesn't
I was
happen very often.
I was looking at this meme yesterday, and I posted it on social, and it was like it was somebody mopping, and it just said any man that provides for his family is like equally valuable, and like that's so
100%.
true. Yeah, that's
100%.
exactly how I feel. Like I look like me and you, we deal with CEOs all day and whatever else, but the reality is like I think that all the time. Like anybody who's working their butt off, my hat's off for them no matter what.
If you're putting food on the table and a roof over your family's head,
I know,
you're killing it. You're
I
absolutely
know.
killing it. We had one of the first families I discovered an issue up there in West North Carolina. It was a family of six. The dad had an injury that kept him from working, a pretty terrible one. It wasn't his fault either, which is even worse. His wife stood by his side. They had four boys, and they were basically living under a tarp because of what the storm did. And it was kind of this little bit of a dance because we're up in the hills, and as a man, you don't want other guys having to come in and provide for your family,
That's right.
right? And so, but I mean, this is an out of ordinary situation, and I told the guys, okay, I want to help, but I started off instead of going there and just helping, I went in there and I just told him, I said, look, every one of your kids survived this. You guys survived this. You're still providing. I was like, you absolutely killed it. And boy, he just puffed up. And I'm like, good job. Because like if you had done things differently, you guys could have all been swept away. So like I said, I would love your permission to bring up shelter for you guys, be it a tent or something, just to get you guys. And he's like, oh yeah, I love that. Well, we ended up getting somebody donated this like $40,000 RV. So I tell him we were bringing him a tent. We roll in with this $40,000 RV instead.
Cool as heck, man.
Guys rolled up with skid steers because we were having trouble getting this up in the mountains.
Oh
Like
yeah,
people just started showing up. But I mean, everybody just pitched in
just
and
moving
helped
it
this
all.
guy. But the main thing was just affirming that, like, look, man, you did good. Like you kept your family safe. Let us come in and help get you guys stable.
That
So,
is so
but
rad.
yeah, we just had story
I
after story
agree,
of that
man.
up there. And that's when I
I
realized that the mental health part was such a big part that we don't talk about.
It really is. Like back in my Oklahoma days, I think it was 2007. I don't know if this hit you up in North Texas, but we had this big old ice storm, and it was gnarly. It happened like I don't remember if it was like the beginning of December or something, but it wiped out a third of the trees in Norman.
Wow.
And
Now I was in California by this point.
Dude, it was honestly, it was really scary because everything, like, I never, I'm used to Utah snow and stuff. So, but I went out there and every blade of grass was like an ice pick. And my dog, I remember he couldn't even find a place to go. But the lights went out for I think it was like 3.5 days. And so what we'd do is we would just, OU was on a grid, so I'd go to work and I'd just stay there as long as I possibly could. I'd run home. I'd open up it was like what was it, Campbell's soup, Canadian, whatever it was, like
Yeah.
the noodle soup. I'd hurry and chug it, and me and my wife would just go jump into the bed and zip up the zipper because it was freezing
Oh
outside.
yeah.
It was like 10 degrees permanently.
Yeah.
And I remember so vividly on that fourth day or third day or whenever it happened, I was sitting there, I was about to eat my Campbell's again, and the lights came on. And it was the I've never experienced something where I felt like more grateful
Oh yeah.
because all of a sudden it was like, oh my gosh, my life is now functional again.
It's
So
so
I think it's
it's
so
it's
rad when
you're
you
talking
play it.
about prepping, right?
Yep.
And prepping gets a bad rap as like I'm a prepper. I love to tell people I'm a prepper because they go, "Do you have a bunker?" I'm like, "Yes, but that's not the point." You know what I mean? But the
Yeah.
point is for preparation, you can prep for whatever you want. And but I think people tend to pigeonhole it as you're a doomsday prepper, right? You got a bunker, you've got, 1,000 guns, like you're a crazy guy out in the woods. Everyone who has extra money has in my mind, a civic duty to be prepared.
I totally agree.
Because what happens is those who don't have the money, they can't. How do I get somebody who's hand them out a paycheck to paycheck and tell them
And
to
go
go buy
buy a
two
bunch of
months worth
food.
of food? Like they
Oh,
can't
there's no
even
way.
buy this week's worth of food.
That's right.
But what happens in the relief side of it is I go up to these big houses, they don't even have a case of water. Like these people clearly have money, but they didn't have a case of water, which is fine. We're going to still help them nonetheless. But if they had been prepared, our
That's right.
resources would have gone farther. And so I always tell people have 2 weeks of food, 2 weeks of water, and then the way you test if you're prepared is on a Friday night, let your cell phone die and turn the breaker off on your house.
Yeah.
You will know real quick what you need
What
to
are you
finish your
missing?
preps. And then get
That's
through the weekend with no power, make a list every time you need something. If by
that's
the
right.
end of that weekend, you will be prepared. So when that does happen, you're going to go, I know what to do. Here's the
That's right.
headlamp.
That's
Here's
it.
the little gas boiler. Like, we're good.
Well, dude, like we all went through it a little bit with COVID, and is like I got a lot of kids. I got 7 kids,
Oh, nice.
and so like as a dad, you're, I mean, pride aside, like prepper aside, you're like, it's my job to feed them. Period.
Yeah, that's right.
And it is because it's like, yeah, I mean, it's fun to have the bunker and stuff like that, and the guns and everything else. But holy cow, dude, if you run out of food, I
Can't
couldn't
eat
live
bullets. Yeah, you
with my
can't eat
kids.
bullets. Yeah.
No, you can't, dude.
And so mostly people who are they're prepping at that level, food and water, they get it. That's the first thing, right? I mean, I do think everyone should have a firearm to protect themselves. As a
I
father, it's your
agree.
duty to protect your children as well.
For
And
sure.
there's nothing that keeps people moving on down the road in a disaster than a dad on the porch with a pump shotgun. You don't have to go. You don't need 15 AR-15s. You just need a good shotgun or one AR-15 or one whatever AK whatever. You just need a firearm,
Yeah, something. Yeah.
because it just tells people just keep on going down the road. But yeah, food and water, it's less expensive than you would imagine to get prepped. I think
Oh
what
yeah.
happens though is people stack up food and water and they forget about how do I boil water? How do I, what are we going to serve these meals in? Peak Refuel. I'm not sponsored by these guys. I love their product. Out of Utah, actually.
Oh yeah.
You just add water. It's all whole foods. You stir it up, you eat it, and you throw the package away. There's no
Oh,
dishes.
it's awesome. Yeah, we used to actually sell their brand for them.
Oh,
So,
nice. Yeah.
so there's a lot of them. Peak Refuel, Thrive. There's so
Well,
many out of
they didn't
Utah.
Thrive by Peak.
Yeah,
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 they're
it's one
part
of
of
their
Thrive
brands.
now. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's some incredible ones out of here. There's like, I think like 9 of the top 10 prepping companies are
Well,
based in
because
Utah.
the Mormons, they got it figured out.
Yeah,
Uh,
they
That's
got it figured out.
that's who got me
Mormons.
into it was my Mormon neighbor. He's like, "Hey man, you got food and water?"
Yeah, it really is, dude. But yeah, Thrive is a great brand,
We
and
actually, when we lived in Vegas, we actually drove to the Mormon food prep store because it's
oh, did
so
you really?
inexpensive. And so you go in our closet, we got all these boxes of like beans and rice and
Oh yeah.
it's like 6 5 gallon cans, and it says, is it the Church of Latter Day Saints? Is that right?
Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it says that on there. So people come over and they thought we were Mormon. I was like, no, the Mormons just have really good freeze dried food. So
Yeah, it's true. Like, so I'm evangelical. My wife's Catholic, but we were LDS for 40
oh
years.
really?
So all of our stuff, all of our food storage is like Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day
Yep,
Saints,
same here.
or it says Thrive on it, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's like I've got both of it, but it's honestly I'm a big fan of that stuff because it's not like I mean there's two different worlds, right? There's the people that are hoping for destruction. Those
Right.
people are kind of lunatics,
Of
but
course.
the people that are just being prepared, like I don't know why not everyone is like thinking about it a little bit
Well, and
because
there's a
yeah,
whole industry of consumer packaged goods that is focused on long-term food storage. I mean,
right,
it's there. You can go on Amazon and buy this stuff, and just
yeah,
buy 2 days worth of it this week, and next week buy 2 more days. Well, in 10 weeks you'll have 20 days of food in your house.
so
And so
true,
many
dude.
people put a number on the board and say, "Oh, it's going to be $3,600 to buy all this food, all this stuff." I'm going to wait till I save $3,600. No, 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 no. Spend 360 now, so at least you have 10% of your prep because you don't get to decide when you get to use it.
No, you
Right?
don't.
If you wait till you get everything perfect, you'll never prep at all.
Yeah,
Um,
food prep growing up was very different. Like in my household, we just had these big old tubs of flour and
yeah,
oat, and it was like it's like, Mom, what are you gonna make with all this crap?
yeah.
But now it's like their stuff is actually really good
It's
tasting.
so good. I mean,
Yeah, it's
if you go look in 7 days on an island, 7 days in a cave, underground city, we're eating peak refuel in every one of those videos.
oh, that's cool,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah. I don't even know if they know that, but
Dude,
yeah, because
I'm gonna tell them that.
when I went and did the taste testing, because I'm like, okay, I got to get all these guys to live on food, because I mean, these places were. I mean, sorry, people, you can't live off the land inside of a cave. You got to bring food in with you, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing to eat there, and
Oh yeah.
so. It's like if I'm gonna get them to eat this stuff for 7 days, but man, we were fight over the peach cobbler. The peach cobbler became currency on the island.
You're like, when I
People were
get that
hiding it in
small
their
one, big
sleeping
old
bag.
raise for my peach cobbler.
Oh yeah. No, the peach cobbler
Oh yeah.
became very sought after. So
Oh yeah, dude. Well, that's so cool. Something about me tells me that you're probably a World War II fan. Is that right?
I'm a history fan.
Right now, I'm watching the Pacific and Band of Brothers. Have you
Oh,
seen those?
those are phenomenal, phenomenal series. My
Dude, okay.
youngest daughter is really big into history, which is so strange. She loves theater and nails and makeup and all this other stuff, but then like ask her about the Revolutionary War, and she'll tell you.
I love it.
So
Have you
we've
ever
been kind of
watched
a
Turn?
Revolutionary War kick right now, but I'm
You
a
ever
big fan of
watched
history.
Turn?
What is it?
Turn?
No, I haven't.
Turn? Dude, Shawn, it'll change your life.
Turn.
So it's Washington Spies, is what it's called, but you'll watch it like I don't know if it's on Netflix or something.
Okay. Oh, Turn. Washington Spies. Yeah,
Dude,
I see it.
I'm telling you, it's gonna be your new favorite show.
Okay, I'm about to watch it with my daughter.
Do it, dude. Do it. And yeah, tell me what. I'm excited to have you out here. You're coming up for Retail Collective in January.
Yeah, that's gonna
Um,
be
it's,
fun.
oh, dude, it's gonna be so fun.
What's funny is so my secondary at Beast was always Feastables, right? I was never on the Feastables team,
Yeah,
but being Jimmy's chief of staff, I was heavily involved in all
all
just
that
those
stuff.
the early days of the Feastable stuff, and so I really fell in love with CPG, right? And I've been in retail. I own a retail store here in Greenville.
Oh,
I
cool.
did a lot of retail in my younger days, Radio Shack, Games Workshop.
Oh yeah.
So retail has always been in my blood. But now at the Barbarian Foundation, it's like I get to do the nonprofit and I have a CPG brand along with it. So
I
it's
love it.
kind of a neat crossing over. I just never thought I'd be, when I started working with him as a chief, I didn't know what CPG stood for. And then we
Yeah.
started hanging out with all the guys from like the Prime team, which those are a great group of guys.
Oh yeah.
And you just start learning it. You have to because you're moving at the speed of light. But I fell in love with that brand. We go into every time we flew into a city, we'd be in different WalMarts, hoodies up, sunglasses on, looking for velocities of
I
how
love
they're
it.
moving in that store. And what it was so fun just to do the in the field research. And I mean, he would go in there himself and was so hands on and so passionate
You check it
about
out.
that product.
Well, it should be. So, dude, Shawn, my family is eating only Feastables for the last year.
Let's
So
go.
we've got Merrick who's coming to speak in our September conference. He's going to speak in our January conference or something. And he's like, "Well, I want you to hand out some bars." So he mailed me. I'm not kidding you. Probably 2,000 bars.
Oh, nice.
And I was going to go take him up, but then he's like, "Actually, I'm going to come speak in your September conference." I'm like, "These things are going to go bad." And so I'm like, "Kids, let's just have a few bars.
Man,
And then they started like finding out where the bars were hidden.
yeah, yeah.
And they are just, I'm telling you, it's incredibly delicious. But we are all out of shape because we've been eating Feastables for like 6 months.
No, it's all in moderation, right?
Yeah,
Chocolate's
dude.
not bad. Too
I
much
love it,
sugar is bad.
dude.
Well, it's just the ingredients are so good. And I was over there in Ghana, before we were even talking about child labor, just looking and making sure that everything was legit and just seeing how much care goes into the sourcing of the components and really making a good product. But the new Feastables peanut butter cups are to die for.
Dude,
Yeah,
I love Feastables.
yeah.
Like, I honestly, it's like my favorite. And by the way, whoever did your guys' packaging is brilliant. Like that bright blue.
Oh yeah.
You don't see chocolate bar like candy aisle with bright blue
Well,
anywhere.
that's you know who did that. It's the guy that runs the channel.
Oh
We
yeah.
went through, I can't even tell you how many iterations of packaging. Some terrible, some cool, but at the end of the day, like he picked and it absolutely crushed. And it was, it's obviously you get to an iteration and you keep iterating, but I mean, just so much effort and intentionality went into every step. It was just such a neat process to witness. And like I said, it gave me a love um, for that industry.
Are you close with the Prime guys? Yeah, those guys have killed it.
Oh yeah. Well, me and Logan spent. Well, he was there for a couple of days in the cave video.
I
Um,
was in that one.
yeah, yeah. So he's not cave, sorry, Underground City,
Oh,
and so
geez, yeah.
that's where we connected. We're both see a lot of the world the same, if you will, and
Huh?
so we connected, and that's when I messaged him to like, hey, we were having one bottle of water a day up there, firefighters. And I messaged him and said, hey, can I get a truckload of Prime? He connected me with his logistics guy. And I'm telling you, it was like 9 hours later. I swear they must have just got in the truck in Kentucky and somehow got it into the disaster zone. Because like that next day, I had an entire truckload of Prime. And I mean, we're talking about people have been limited to one bottle of water a day. We're dehydrated. We're low on minerals, potassium, all the stuff that's in Prime. It's like, it's the best thing you ever drank in your life when you drank nothing but, warm bottled water
Oh yeah. You
for
haven't had it.
5 days. And to be able to drink it, like we can have as much as we want because we have a whole truckload. And so, but yeah, I mean, I asked for it and there was no paperwork. There was no nothing. He's just like, it's on the way. That's
But
good too.
dude,
They
Sean,
weren't like, oh, well, how do we get a write off? What's your 501c3? So many companies, like they didn't have a charity. Well, we can't help you because we can't get a write off. I'm like, guys, this isn't about a write off.
yeah, it's
Like I'm
about
trying
saving
to
your
put
life.
people from freezing to death,
That's exactly right.
and so,
Honestly, dude, I would love to go on one of those humanitarians with you. I've got two boys. One's almost 17 and one's almost 15.
oh yeah.
And well, as we kind of move out to North or South Carolina or whatever we're going to be doing, like I want to take them on some of those
Well, come out. You got
because
to at least come out and visit the farm. So I'll have a blast out there. So we got
oh,
67-acre
absolutely.
farm. So
Is that one in North Carolina?
yeah, Greenville, North Carolina.
Yeah, dude, I would love to do that. I'm telling you though, like it builds deep character, and that was one of the coolest things about my LDS mission. That was actually Rancho Cucamonga, but like it was just like serving all day long for a couple
Yeah.
years. It's a big deal, and it changes everything about what you're doing.
Well, it was interesting. At Christmas time, well, during the storm, I told the Black Mountain Children's Home, I said, look, we got to help these kids, but let's not forget about them when Christmas comes. I'm going to come back up here and do something for Christmas. And I did. And we raised enough money to buy every kid a Nintendo game system, right? It's a little
Oh,
handheld. That way, each kid, they own it. It's theirs. Like something that they can take with them that's theirs. It's stability, it's entertainment, and it's not the homes. And a lot of these kids go to their parents. They're trying to be reintegrated with their parents. It's something that they have that's theirs, and they just thought that would be the best idea. And so we raised the money, and I said, I don't want to take it the week after Christmas. I don't want to come up a week before Christmas. We're going to come up on Christmas Day, and our family is going to spend time with these kids. And it was like my daughter was rightfully a little concerned, like, well, what about our Christmas? And like she was, she didn't know how to process it. But then once she went up there and she saw these 50 kids opening these gifts,
it
like you
changed her
said, it
mind.
changed. She's like, oh, like
Changes her
we had a
heart.
great time. And so the Bible says it's better to give than to receive.
Yep.
And it's just proof of that. And I mean, heck, I had struggled with it when I started asking for people to support financially what we were doing. I was being prideful. was like, you know what? I basically maxed out my cards to where I didn't have any more to spend. And I
Yep.
felt bad for asking. And this Holy Spirit convicted me to say,
Right.
you are robbing people of the ability to be a blessing because of your pride. And
I hear you.
I made a
So true.
video, I talked about that, I posted it, and I would raise over $500,000 over the next 3 months.
Man,
And
I love
so,
that.
but again, it's because we have to be willing to receive that, because I can't receive a gift from you. And I'm not going to get too religious on you, but if I can't get,
You can't get too religious on me, dude.
okay,
I'm all about the New
but
Testament.
if I can't receive a gift from you, how can I receive eternal life from God?
Yeah.
Right? If I
True.
can't take a terrestrial mortal gift, if I can't
Yeah.
accept your help, how can I accept his son on the cross? Right? And
That's so
so
cool.
that's what I was convicted of. And just when I asked and opened up, God's people blew me away with generosity. And so
Man.
I think getting your kids involved in stuff like that, the early days, it was no place for children. It was no place for adults. It was a
Yeah.
terrible place. I
But
still
later
have
on.
nightmares. But after a few weeks and things are stabilized, get your kids serving and get them doing hard things for other people. It'll
That's right.
really change who they are as people.
It's kind of one of our mottos is, we say Brock Banks do hard things. But
Love it.
the reality is Brock Banks do hard things with like still somewhat of a comfort. And
Uh-huh.
I kind of want to strip that from them.
Yeah.
Like, okay, let's go somewhere else and do something like actually hard.
What does it
Right.
look like to sacrificially give?
That's right.
Right? I even think about it like it's easy for me to be generous when I have a lot.
It's so true.
Right? It's the old lady giving her last piece of silver.
That's right.
That's the huge step of faith versus me going, "You're so generous. You gave us thousands of dollars." I'm like, "Yeah, I've got thousands of dollars to give." So is it really sacrificial giving?
That's right.
And
That widow's mite thing.
yeah, so and that's what we're called to. We're called to give like no one else.
Well, I hear you, man. Well, that was a little too cool of an interview. I think we relate like on many levels. Well, yeah, I want to make some intros, see what I can do to kind of help. And honestly, like your last retail collective, we had $500,000 of products that were donated by the
Uh-huh.
brands. But honestly, I kind of wanted to start a raise with you that we could go do that and deliver it to some people that actually need it.
Love it. Yeah.
Because retail CEOs, they're kind enough and they're gracious enough that they don't necessarily even want it.
Yeah.
They'd be fine not having those bags and giving it to other people. But I think that's something that maybe we start.
That's so true. It blows me away. The more successful you are, the more free stuff you get.
It's
Like
so
the
true,
people who can afford it the most tend to get it for free.
which is good and bad,
It's good and
right?
bad, but it blows my way. Like I ask for stuff, people are like, "Oh, you can have it for free." It's like,
Yeah,
okay, cool, thanks. I mean, I know why you're giving to me for free,
yeah, it's
but
true.
I love that idea of like instead of all this to people that
Donate to each other, donate it somewhere else.
you
I
gather
love
it all.
doing it.
Yeah, that would be cool. That'd be really neat to do something where it goes in January. I mean, it's like right after Christmas.
I'm calling peak. I'm telling them to start donating.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah,
Well, thanks for jumping on, Sean.
yeah.
I'm jacked to see you in January, and I'm excited to help where needed on the Barbarian Water and everything that you're doing. I'm super proud of you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. I'm looking forward. I say we're just figuring it out. Just you'll just follow along with our story, but I do appreciate the time to talk about it.
And you have an awesome day.
You too.
Bye.
Maximize your sales team's potential with Volcanic Retail University. Our courses cover everything from foundational retail knowledge to advanced strategies for established brands. Go to university.volcanicretail.io and use code RWG for 30% off.